to the end.
What's up dudes, Furty here. I wanted to make a very brief video that covers the Charred Remains opener for the Destruction spec. It is a very simple opener, although there are some components to it that you may or may not be aware of that are extraordinarily important to the burst DPS of your opener. We're going to be taking a look at a clip from our Mythic Blackhand progression. I think this is a great example of how your opener could look. One thing to keep in mind is that your DPS is going to vary very greatly from pull to pull depending on how your 4-piece procs, how your trinkets decide to proc, and how your ring decides to proc. Charred Remains is extremely dependent on the trinket procs, especially in the opener. So keep in mind that it's not always going to work out this way, but here's a great example of how things could go. While you may or may not be used to precasting, it is essential to the success of this opener, so make sure you're in position before the boss is pulled. Currently, RPPM trinkets reset upon entering boss combat. However, the 10-second RPPM trinkets in Blackrock Foundry also proc off the event of a cast, not the event of actual damage. We use this tiny subtlety to essentially force our trinkets to proc twice, back to back. As you can see, I start precasting my Incinerate between 4 to 3 seconds left on the countdown. While this will put you in combat, it will not put the raid in combat, as the Incinerate will not trigger the boss until it impacts. Following this Incinerate, you'll immediately want to follow up with an Immolate, timed to land as the boss is being pulled. If you use your Doomguard in the opener, you should use it now. Go ahead and use Dark Soul and any unused trinkets or racials that you may have. Then, immediately Conflagrate twice. I then cast a single Incinerate to help with Embergen and ensure that my Chaos Bolts do not eat all my backdraft stacks. If this Incinerate crits and you get lucky Immolate criticals or 2-piece procs, you will be able to fit in an extra Chaos Bolt here. But, in general, you're going to follow this up with 2 Chaos Bolts in a row. As long as your trinkets procced pre-combat, they will proc again guaranteed following the expiration of your first set of trinket procs. For this reason, I go right into generating Embers, trying to generate as many as I can to fit as many Chaos Bolts as possible into this second set of trinkets. The minimum amount of Chaos Bolts you will be able to fit in this opener every single time is 5, although I've had up to 7 depending on how lucky I am with my 2-piece. If you're playing with the Dark Soul glyph, you're going to have to go ahead and dump both charges here for maximum effectiveness. Personally, I do not use this glyph very much with Charred Remains, and that's simply because on the fights that I would use it, I end up playing Demonology, but that's not to say it can't be an effective choice. Let's play this opener one more time at full speed. While this is a relatively easy opener to execute, it is important that you pull it off with consistency and reliability. Following your opener, you're going to want to lead right into the normal rotation, dumping your Chaos Bolts whenever procs are available to you, and generating Embers as needed. This opener has the potential to do some pretty silly burst, but that does require a lot of RNG love from your set bonuses. Let's go over it one more time. Pre-pot, then precast Incinerate. How soon or late you do this depends on your distance from the boss. Most of the time, this will proc your trinkets. Since RPPM resets upon entering boss combat, but trinkets can't overwrite themselves, this essentially forces your trinkets to proc twice in a row. Following your precasted Incinerate, immediately precast Immolate, timed to land as the boss is pulled. Immolate doesn't have a travel time, so make sure you don't do this early, unless you're one of those early boss pulling terrorists. If you use Doomguard on the opener, go ahead and do that now. Go ahead and use Dark Soul and any unused trinkets or racials that you may have before spending both charges of Conflagrate. Then cast an Incinerate, or 2 if you're not quite at 2 Embers yet. Fire off 2 Chaos Bolts, then start spamming Incinerate, reapply Immolate when you need to, and use Conflagrate as the charge comes off cooldown. You should be able to fire off 3 more Chaos Bolts before your trinkets and Dark Soul expire. If you are very lucky with 2-piece procs, you may be able to replace many of these Incinerates with Chaos Bolts. However, this is not very common. Thanks for watching my overview of the Charred Remains opener. Hopefully this has cleared a few things up for you. If you have any questions and you want to ask me personally, go ahead and follow my Twitch stream or Twitter in the description below.